I'm gonna let you in on something that the general public doesn't know. Beyond the realms of Emirates, Qatar, Delta, etc., there are certain airlines that are adored by frequent flyers, those who know what you're about to know. You see, there's one city in Asia that I would consider moving to just for its airline selections, and the most famous, respected crown jewel of that city, Taipei, is EVA Airlines. Yes, this airline gets lauded by scam tracks, but there is substance to the praise in this case. The question is, how much? Yes, their business class might be good, but is it actually on the level of Singapore Airlines or Qatar Airways, for example? That is what I'm setting out to answer. Join me, Dan, the luckiest man in the world who gets to call reviewing airlines my full-time job. What makes me even luckier is that the advice I share in my videos can hopefully help you travel better. Hello guys, from one of the best airports in the world, where I'm about to fly up to one of the other best, or at least most efficient airports in the world on my second Taiwanese carrier in a row. When I say second, I'm referring to the fact that I'm flying back and forth to Taipei a few times over the span of a couple of days just to try their 3 carriers back to back. You see, EVA isn't the only quality airline based in Taipei. They also have the Taiwanese flag carrier China Airlines, which I already reviewed, and of course the flashy newcomer that no one can stop talking about, Starlux. This is some seriously tough competition. Now, I just left the Singapore Airlines business class lounge, which is of course amazing. Obviously that is not ideal when I'm trying to review EVA Airlines. We're not reviewing Singapore Airlines today, but I couldn't really get an itinerary to work where I could have an EVA flight departing from Taipei as well. So what I will say is this: EVA has the best lounge of the Taiwanese carriers, better than China Airlines and better than Starlux. At least from what I remember, I was there last in 2019. I'll try to insert some footage here from that flight. You know what? Scrap that, because I have a much more modern and fun way to show you around this lounge. Google Street View. You can literally see every inch of this lounge on here. I'll put a link below so you can explore it for fun. The food selection in here isn't quite on the level you'll find from China Airlines in my opinion, but it's still great in the grand scheme of things. But hey, the most important part is what the experience is like on board. So today, I'm flying a 7-year-old 777-300 from Singapore up to Taipei to put the famous, lauded EVA business class experience to the test. EVA is probably the most commonly mispronounced airline name. I also think it should be pronounced EVA Air. It sounds so much better, but unfortunately the airline insists the name is EVA, but EVA just sounds so lovely. It reminds me of my great aunt who lives in Scotland named Eva, who's the most wonderful person, but no, EVA. On the way to our gate, I stopped by a bookstore. Okay, I'm just gonna buy a quick book by my new obsession author before the flight because I need something to relax me a bit and I don't want to rely on in-flight entertainment. So let's head to the gate. With that, we get a glimpse of our beauty, the EVA 777-300ER. She's being loaded up for the flight back to Taipei, and as is so common in Asia, the scheduled turnaround time is shockingly short, just over an hour. In the West, we can barely handle an A320 in that time. Now, finally, in the end of 2024, it's time to step on board again. I'm so excited. They're such a unique airline from the rest of the world. Besides their green, bright green livery, which you rarely ever see, the fact they operate so many wide bodies to so many places within Asia, the fact they're a Starlux airline that very rarely gets talked about. I guess I would bet that most Starlux flyers don't even know EVA exists. Yet they are such a premium airline, so I cannot wait to put them to the test again because I really don't know what to expect going in. As we head on board, let's see what this beauty looks like inside. My EVA 777-300ER comes in a 3-class configuration with 39 business class seats and an impressive 56 premium economy seats. The amount of seats in economy on EVA can vary, but my configuration is in a rare 3-3-3 layout. That compares very favorably to most other airlines that have a 3-4-3 configuration in economy on this plane. Now, back up front, almost all seats are created equal here, and to my luck and surprise, when booking this flight almost a month in advance, there was one window seat left for me to choose, my seat 9 Alpha. Talk about a busy flight. Now, if you can, sitting in the forward cabin will be quieter and more relaxed during boarding, but hey, any seat in business class is a good seat. There are 3 toilets here for a lavatory ratio of 1:13. That means you'll rarely have to wait long to use the lavatory, and with that, let's hop on board EVA. Hello from not EVA. I'm obviously on Emirates today because I have some very exciting news that I know a lot of you have been waiting for. Listen, flying premium cabins does not have to be super expensive, whether you're currently paying to fly it or it's on your bucket list. I obviously am pretty much never paying the normal retail prices for a business class flight like this EVA one. I paid about half of the cash price for this Emirates first class flight. I'm paying about a third of the cash price. The amazing thing is this works all over the world. You don't need to sign up for any credit cards or be a US citizen. And listen up, I know PointsMaster can be quite an investment, but right now you can save $252 and get the lowest price the PointsMaster has ever been available for. And that's just the start of the savings. Almost everyone that has joined PointsMaster has recouped the entire investment for the program on their very first premium cabin booking.
I've booked 14 individual business class flights on Virgin, Singapore Airlines, Gulf Air for me and my family. I was able to book it for about, like 25%, 30% of the actual retail price of the tickets every single time.
I have been able to book 6 international business class tickets for well under the price of 1 round trip business class international ticket. 6 for the price of 1.
If you have dreamt of upgrading the way you travel, not sitting downstairs in this case since I'm on an A380, crammed among hundreds of other people, feeling claustrophobic, stressed, I could go on. Scan the QR code right here or go to the link at the top of the description below. And by the way, if you've gotten my free starter program before where I share some amazing insights and some amazing deals, I've just completely revamped that, upgraded it, and changed the airline program. So if you've watched the previous one, it can be good to go over and watch the new one as well. And you can get the free program just by scanning the QR code and going to the link at the top of the description as well. So it's time to change the way you travel. Check out PointsMaster with our sale that is valid for the next 10 days. What a beautiful cabin. And what a not so beautiful shade of green. Behind our cabin, we have the far more aesthetically pleasing premium economy, which looks very nice. I wouldn't mind flying this at all. Now welcome to 9 Alpha, our home for today's adventure. Talk about a nice pillow for a 4-hour flight. We also get a wrapped blanket, which looks nice.
Okie dokie, we have a cold towel. Can't quite tell if it's scented, but actually my hands are always cold, so a cold towel is only really needed when it's boiling outside, but very nice to get it on a tray like this, and a green smoothie.
Okay guys, I gotta say so far so good. Although the cabin is not nearly as modern or impressive looking as on China Airlines, there is definitely a bit more of a premium vibe here. Actually, it's incredible to get such a firm, big pillow as we got with a big blanket as well on a 4-hour flight. We get this big, juicy, sterilized headphone set and the menus waiting at the seat. I think it's lovely. I can't say yet if I prefer this or China Airlines, but time will tell. There's something so exciting about flying an airline that you haven't been on in a long time. My last flight on EVA was in November 2019, so everything feels unfamiliar. Now the seat is interesting because EVA seemingly chose one of the most simple reverse herringbones on the market. That's noticeable with the exposed storage and the more simple side console, but that doesn't really matter because it's an awesome seat. Speaking of awesome, how vibey are these menus? The contents are, dare I say, slightly unexciting, and only fruit or ice cream for dessert. The drink list makes up for that in my opinion with some really interesting options like matcha milk tea. We don't see matcha often enough on flights, that is for sure. We end up being a bit delayed due to ATC restrictions in Singapore, so there's plenty of time to settle in, plane spot out the window, and of course, be confused by EVA's safety video, which is cool but doesn't really match their branding. Is it just me that feels that way? I also take this chance to check out the entertainment system, which has a total of 123 movies. You might find something you like, but my advice, bring a book. We end up pushing back about an hour behind schedule, but I'm not upset at all, even during our long taxi, because the views are epic. An Air France 777 with La Première and a mismatched engine, nice. Air China A350, Qantas A330, MAI E190, so much good stuff to see here. You know what will never get old? Flying a 777 on a medium haul flight, especially with an engine view like this as we blast out of Singapore. Look at Changi, how it's growing. It's so exciting to see one of the world's best airports get bigger and better, so I'll see y'all soon, lah. Again, I find myself amused by the randomness of this airline. I love them, don't get me wrong, but this print feels so out of place, like we're in a Taiwanese auntie's living room. I think my spirit animal might actually be a Taiwanese auntie who does Tai Chi with her friends in public parks. So in that spirit, let's recline and take a post-Tai Chi nap. Why? Because the bed on EVA is glorious. Okay, wow. EVA really needs to be commended for having created a very comfortable bed here. The bed is wide, it feels spacious, it's quite soft. This is partly due to the 777 being so wide, but given how tired I am already, I mean, I've been tired the past week. I just hosted a group trip with 15 people. Amazing people, but very exhausting in South Korea. So I just need a little bit of rest, but first we gotta eat. And this bed is truly an amazing place to rest. I can tell. I flew this from Taipei to Los Angeles in 2019, and if I remember correctly, I slept like a baby. So, our meal service begins with some nuts and a delicious juice that is elegantly presented. Thank you to the lighting gods for this beautiful sunset shine. Okay, just a little bit of behind the scenes flight reviewer intel. If you're a loyal viewer, you might notice that I almost never review flights that go at night, for an obvious reason that you want a lot of natural daylight so you can get good shots of everything in the cabin, good shots of the food, and good photos or thumbnails with me in them, which you can't really get when it's dark. So, because of our delay, I'm stressing out a tiny little bit because I'm like, if the meal doesn't come before the sun goes down, that's really a bummer in terms of getting a good thumbnail perhaps, or just getting good shots of the food. Okay, let's quickly talk about the service. So far, I have a flight attendant taking care of me, not dedicated just to me, but dedicated to this aisle. She is fantastic. She addresses me by name. She's so sweet, so helpful. Then after takeoff, the purser came by and welcomed everyone on board by name as well, which you guys know I love when the purser does that. So we had a bit of small talk. She asked me about my trip, let us know that unfortunately we'll be landing a bit delayed, apologized for that. Just truly 5-star service, as it really should be, or as you would hope it would be, but yeah, so far EVA deserves its 5 stars. Once ready, the crew are kind enough to oblige when I ask for a look at the regular meal options, and I'm sorry, this is not what I thought when it said hors d'oeuvre on the menu. I know the literal meaning is just appetizer, but this portion for the tuna starter is massive. There's also a huge selection of delicious looking bread. My appetizer is a stuffed tomato. Looks unassuming, right? This looks very interesting. It's a stuffed tomato with, I see goji berries on top, but it looks like there might be some sort of mock meat or bean curd inside, and got to see the normal appetizer too, so I'm really excited to try this. Well, this dish is incredible. Absolutely delicious choice from the vegetarian oriental meal. For the mains, the crew offered me a look at the fish from the menu, which actually looks really nice, especially those sun-dried tomatoes on the side. My main course is not as exciting, still rather creative with whatever this is on the right, but unfortunately the noodles are on the dry side. Okay, so I just learned something that really surprises me, which is that this catering is from Singapore. Generally, on a 4-hour flight, airlines will cater the outbound flight and the return flight from their hub, which is really what I was hoping for when I pieced together this itinerary, which wasn't easy to piece together to try to get all the airlines to work in my schedule as efficiently as possible. But unfortunately, this is not Taipei catering, so we don't get an exact one-on-one comparison, but what are you gonna do? At least we get to see what type of options EVA has out of other cities. Also, I'm amazed because this aircraft only has a 1 hour and 15-minute turnaround in Singapore. So the fact they count on having catering redone in Singapore for every flight is pretty impressive, especially considering this is a 777-300. Outside, the weather is getting moody as we approach Cambodia. The crew offered to give me everything from the menu for dessert, including my special meal dessert, which actually looks more exciting and interesting than the ice cream or dessert from the menu, no? So as you can see, I got a special little dessert out of Singapore as well. Overall, obviously this meal was not on the quality of what I got on China Airlines, but that was a different airport, which makes everything so much trickier. But if you disregard what was actually served, I have to say I'm incredibly impressed by the pace at which EVA has done this. Considering each course has been served separately, we are done in an hour and 20 minutes after takeoff, which huge kudos to the crew because it's a sold out flight. So you gotta hand it to them for that. After dinner, the sun has almost set. Looking around the cabin, it's so nice to see that most people are awake because I'm team stay awake and enjoy the flight on a day flight like this. Random note, but anyways. Is that thunder I hear? Nope, just EVA's headphones. Bam. The meal is all wrapped up. I am so full right now, but I'm just sitting here reflecting on what makes EVA feel a little bit strange to me. There's something that just doesn't go together, and I think I've identified what it is. The thing that gave it away for me is the headphones, because when I opened them up, they're called Thunder by EVA, and I was like, what? And then I remember the safety video, which is kind of high-tech and futuristic, which makes me think that EVA is a bit confused about their branding and what they are, because some elements are very modern and very quirky and cutting edge, while other elements like the in-flight service, like the seat, the cabin colors and design choices feel very boring and dreary. Not that the service is boring, but everything is very traditional. There's nothing else in this experience that makes me think EVA is the type of airline that would call their headphones Thunder by EVA. So I think for me and for maybe some other people to truly appreciate EVA, the airline also needs a more clear branding, a more clear thing. Like Starlux is intergalactic space, it's all very quirky. China Airlines is kind of underground, cool bar vibes, although I will say their uniform does not match that concept at all on China Airlines. But anyway, that's a tangent. Just a little thought on what makes EVA slightly, I don't know, unsatisfying for me, even though it is so amazing. Let me emphasize again that EVA is an incredible airline, definitely among the best in the world, and maybe it's just me that's confused about what EVA's thing is, but I'm not complaining. Any airline that gives a hot towel on a tray after a meal gets good points from me. Also, after dark, the cabin is stunning. Check out those stars on the ceiling. This is a touch that very few airlines invest in. There are two more things I want to show before we get to Taipei, and the first is the lavatories. Not only are these kept spotless, but they also have some fun toiletries, and at least this one behind the second door is massive. I also have to point out that EVA has fast Wi-Fi with 30 minutes free. Nice. So prior to our arrival, the crew offers some candies and another round of drinks, and just shortly after, we are in Taipei. I have to thank the crew for being so phenomenal on this flight, addressing me by name in every single interaction, so major kudos to them. Good morning. It is the next day. What do I think about EVA, you guys? That was a fun, pleasant flight. My point from the flight still stands that I feel that EVA needs to do a bit of soul searching to decide this is our thing. Are we a forward-thinking tech AI kind of airline like Starlux, or are we a very traditional classy airline more in the line of Qatar Airways? I would of course gladly fly EVA again, and I definitely think they are in the global top tier of airlines, but compared to my flight on China Airlines, I wasn't quite as satisfied. I guess mainly because I had such a memorable experience on that flight with the crew. This crew was lovely, absolutely polished and professional. The food was quite good. The seat is fantastic. So yeah, that's it.